Welcome to Awake to Oneness Radio. I am Caroline Chang, your host. The mission of Awake to Oneness Radio is to inspire the world to awaken to the universal truth of oneness. Science is now teaching us that all life is energy, and that energy is interconnected and interdependent. That energy is one thing. Now, ancient wisdom and spirituality has been teaching the truth of oneness for eons. And now science, quantum physics, is catching up and is teaching the same truth of oneness. Now, quantum physics is actually over 100 years old. So this isn't even new science. This is science that has been around for over 100 years. So in truth, what you do to another person, you're literally doing to another aspect of yourself. And when mankind awakens to the universal truth of oneness, there will be peace on earth. Today's show topic is Teaching EVP with Sheri and Karyn. Welcome, Sheri and Karyn, to Awake to Oneness Radio. Hey, Sheri. Sheri?
Hello.
Are you there? Okay.
I'm here. Can you hear me? Yes, of
Yes,
course.
now I
Hello.
can.
Hello
Yes.
to everyone. Hi, everybody.
Okay. And yeah, Karyn, say a quick hello to everybody.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, all right. Okay, Sheri, can you please, Sheri Perl has been my guest and my dear friend. Can you please let the audience know what EVP is and how you got involved in doing this wonderful work that you're doing?
I'd be happy to. EVP stands for Electronic Voice Phenomenon. And it is a way that we are able to use sound to bring through messages from spirit. I became involved in EVP in 2016 in my desire to be able to connect to loved ones on the other side. I've been into spirituality since I was a 20-year-old. Next week from today, I'll be 69. So that's a lot of years to be studying this kind of thing. Oops, my little angel's knocking at my little girl's at the door, my little dog. I got into all of this. Come on, Lily, in. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I got into spirituality as a result of being very ill and experiencing an unusually amazing distant healing. And I was 20 years old at the time, and it woke me up to realizing that there's an invisible energy, as you were saying, interpenetrating and within everything that we see. This energy, after 4 years of illness, in which medical science could do no more, turned everything around overnight, although I couldn't see and feel it. It was of a spirit nature. It woke me up to realizing that there is so much that we don't see. And that started me on a path of study that's gone ever since then. I always had a fascination in spiritual healing because that is what got me well, and in mediumship. And so I just went about studying those topics with Harry Edwards, who was the healer who had helped me get well, and Jane Roberts, who was the medium who spoke for an entity called Seth. And it was always a part of my life, although I was also a housewife and a mother and raising children. My interests were in spirituality. In 2006, I was in a conference in Montreal, Canada, when Mark Macy, a man named Mark Macy, was speaking about people receiving both voice messages and images through something called ITC, which stands for Instrumental Transcommunication, which is using instruments to bring both image and voice and words into our world that could be seen and heard. And I was thrilled by the idea, but never thought I would ever do it or it would ever be something I could do. My own son, Daniel, crossed over in 2008 from an overdose. And at that point, I became even more passionate about my interest in making connections with people on the other side. It still was not until 2016 when somehow electronic voice phenomenon was brought to me through a few different people who I knew. And I decided to get some instructions and see if I could try to do this for myself, to talk to my son and other loved ones. I did find instructions at the time on the website by the Afterlife Research and Education Institute, but I was not able to follow them. And so I hired my tech guy to please help me set up my computer so I could try to play the sound that was necessary and make the recordings necessary to hear these messages from Spirit. And eventually, after it began to work for me, this gentleman made a slideshow, a very, very long and lengthy slideshow to help both Mac and PC users get their computers set up. Don't worry about it. Get their computers set up to record EVPs. And so that slideshow is available as a free download at my website. But it is a long and lengthy slideshow, and not everybody feels that they can just do it themselves. But Karyn, who is very, very smart, abbreviated the slideshow and made it much more user-friendly and has been able to help both PC and Mac users using her abbreviated version of the slideshow to configure their computer. In order to record EVPs, you could just have the recorder on your telephone, and I know one gal who puts the motor on in her car and she gets messages. So there's many ways to do it. The way Karyn and I do it isn't the only way,
right.
But the way the slideshow teaches and what Karyn will help people do will set them up to do it in a way that is systemized, where you decide when you're going to make a recording and you have all the components you need. So Karyn is really good at that, and she will talk to you about, how she'll work with someone. Our plan is that they first work with Karyn and get set up with the proper software. By the way, we've picked out free software, so it shouldn't cost anyone an arm and a leg.
Uh-huh.
And then they would work with me, and I would teach them then how to actually make the recording. That's
Okay.
the part I'm better at. Karyn is an expert at the computer stuff.
Right. Karyn, I'd like for you now to just give us an introduction to you and what got you involved. And because I know you're very involved, and Karyn is actually connecting with us from Australia. So it is Thursday there. It's Wednesday evening here on the East Coast of the United States, but it is Thursday morning in Australia. So Karyn, did we lose you? Are you still there? Karyn? Did we lose Karyn?
Well, I see that she's...
Do you see her? I don't see her.
Her box, but she's there. There she is. Her box.
I'm back again. I'm sorry. I dropped coffee over my keyboard.
Oh.
Sorry about that.
Problemo.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Did you hear the question? Karyn, I would like you to...
My computer got down.
Okay. I'd like for you to introduce yourself to the audience and let them know. I know that you do much work in this field, and please share with them what motivated you to do the work that you're doing now.
Sure. I'd love to do much more work, but time doesn't allow me to do it. But I got into this by when my daughter transitioned at 15. She had leukemia, and for the first 3 years of her passing, I was off the planet, didn't even know that Earth existed. And when I came back again, I sort of was heavily grieving. And eventually I realized that I had, obviously I'd astral traveled that night and had been told off. And I woke up with the thought in my head, you are effing letting your daughter down, because one of the things that we had decided to do was to try to make contact if we could. And so that became my march to spirituality.
Now,
And
what year was that? What year did your daughter transition?
She died on the 29th of December 2012. So, but I couldn't bury her until 2013 because I was just too distraught and too out of it. And, you know, I really was off the planet.
Yes.
And, you know, like most parents, I had the same questions that any parent has, whether their child is alive or dead. Where is my child? And is she all right? And that was my springboard into learning about the afterlife.
Okay. So then after you got a message from Spirit saying you're messing up, you're supposed to be trying to communicate, and so after you got that message, what did you do after that?
Well, I then went on a very long sort of study, and I started off with orbs, and I'm very, you know, I'm an intense studier of things. I became obsessed with knowing where she was. I interviewed every religious person to find out what their view was. None of it satisfied me. You know, parts of things satisfied me, and then, as luck would have it, I fell onto the Zamet's very, very good book that a lawyer examines the evidence for the afterlife. And from there, I realised that there was so much I did not know. And it just progressed on to there, to PC, EVP, and then I met up with Sheri, and Sheri and I decided to work together to help grieving mothers and fathers, because it was a gift that we had that we could do in our own ways. We could do that, and we could incorporate that as a way of giving back to parents, because so many parents spend so much money trying to find out the truth, and it's right in front of us.
Right, yes. Very good, very good. Well, please, now, Sheri, are you there, Sheri? Oh, you are? Okay.
Where would I go?
I'm not seeing you because I'm recording.
Oh, right, you can't see us. Okay,
I can't see you.
I'm going to stay with you until you dismiss us, darling. No worries.
Okay, all righty. Okay, so, all right. So now, Sheri, you were saying that the first step is Karyn helping them set up their computer.
Right. Okay. And then once they have the proper software and the components and things set up so that they're saved in ways that they can then find them when they need them and so forth, then I teach them how to actually make the recording and audit it. And that's basically all there is to it. But you know what we have found, Karyn and me both, is that people will say, I want this, I really want to do this. And we say, okay, it's available, you know, here you go. And they don't necessarily get back to us. And we're not going to go chasing anybody down. We're offering it free of charge and giving our time if there's an individual that really sincerely wants to put in the time, but it is time consuming. Making a 3-minute recording is not time consuming, but auditing it and, you know, doing the work is. And I think some people just don't even like the sound of the electronics. I mean, it's not for everyone, but we're saying if you want to learn, between the two of us, we believe we can get you started.
Right.
And, you know, either one of us could be contacted through our email addresses.
Right. And
we would help because we want to see others be able to do this. It's pretty interesting.
Right. Yeah.
And it's important for us to know that our children survive, our children go on and they thrive and they grow spiritually in their worlds that they're now in. And they're only just a whisper away from us, you know, and so many people grieve so heavily thinking that they've lost that child forever and ever and ever. And the reality is it's a child sitting right beside them. Exactly. And I've got photographic proof of that as well. So that helps to strengthen my view. after we've taught people, after Sheri and I have taught people, we have tried several ways of doing it. We did try it in a really large group at a hotel, at a seminar, and managed to crash the server and frustrate everyone in the room, including ourselves. So we found out it doesn't work in big groups. We tried small groups, and we found that that was also very, very time consuming. And frustrating for some people, and we often did, just as many hours after the group in helping each person individually. So now we've come to the position where we do one-on-one, and that's been able to, from my point of view, bring down my contact with the person to an hour, and set them up completely, and then I pass them on to Sheri, and Sheri walks them through the rest of the process. And that way they get the expert part of each of us instead of both of us getting in there and trying to do it. After they've done the EVPs, after they've learnt the EVPs, we do have what we call Zoom groups, which you can access through the Afterlife Research and Education discussion page on Facebook, which is one of the Zamet's pages. And we've set up a Zoom group for people who have done EVP training with us, and they want to go further and be in a group where they can bounce their ideas off each other. And so we do have a group that we've started for those people in Zoom, where they can, bounce their ideas off with like-minded people, because, so many of us have been labelled mad because we're children. And, the last thing you need on top of it all is to be considering yourself as being mad. So, putting people with like-minded people helps.
Well, in truth, I have to say, the craziness in this world that we live in is much more mad than believing that our loved ones are still with us. So, but, how I got introduced, I'll just share this. I don't even know if you know this, Karyn. I know Sheri's very familiar. How I got pulled into this was my son. I had never heard of EVP, never had a clue what it was. And I was gifted a reading by Suzanne Giesemann. She was a guest on my show. And I said, when my son passed, my son Kyle, he transitioned July 1st, same day as Danny, but not the same year. Kyle transitioned July 1st of 2014. Now, when Kyle transitioned, I knew I wanted a reading, but I wasn't going to go looking for a medium. I said, that medium has to find me. And so I was, another guest of mine recommended to have Suzanne Giesemann as my guest. So I did. After one show with Suzanne, I knew she was the medium I wanted. So, and I told her, just put me at the end of your waiting list. But she actually gifted me a reading on Kyle's birthday that year. That was 2016. Now, this is my very first reading. We're recording in Zoom. And as soon as she invited Kyle in, there was this loud whooshing that only she could hear live. I don't know if you ever heard, I got to send that if you haven't heard that. She kept asking me, you don't hear that? I don't hear a thing. I did not hear a thing. But you can, she said, you will hear it on the recording. But not only was he making this whooshing sound all through the recording, at one spot you can actually hear his voice. You can actually hear. So that's how I got involved with EVP. Wasn't me, it was my son on the other side that said, Ma, you're gonna get involved in this. Kind of like your daughter saying, Ma, you gotta do this.
Yeah.
So okay, so let's be sure we share the information for everybody, not just parents, because I said everybody has loved ones on the other side. So it's not just parents, but anyone that has a loved one on the other side that they want to communicate with. Let's share the links where they can find Sheri, where they can find the Zoom group. All of this, like you said, we're all being offered to for people who want to contact their loved ones. All of this information is free. So
of course it is. Of course it is.
So let's share your link to the website.
Well, you mean my website?
Yes.
Well, that's just sheriperl.com, SHERI EVRIPERL.com. And when you're there, if you scroll down, you will see a link that says the EVP line.
Okay.
On that page is the slideshow. Also, Karyn, some information on how to reach Karyn is there. Anyone can email Karyn and she'll put you on the list to receive the Zoom group once a week email. That tells you what groups are coming up, as well as the global meeting on Sundays, which I love, Caroline. I always tell you I love the global meeting. But there's a lot of very interesting groups going on all week long.
Okay.
You want to receive that. But I think, Karyn, your email address is on the EVP line page at my website.
I'm not too sure, but I can give it.
Okay. And is there? I met Wendy and Victor when I was in Arizona a couple of years ago. Is there a website for these groups that they offer? These groups?
Yeah, Victor does have a website, and he does put on notifications of the Zoom groups. It's not, they try to keep it up to date, because the Zamits also bring out a Friday report, which is free, and they've been doing it for over 20 years, and that takes up a lot of their time. But if you go to victorzamit.com, which is VICTORZAMMIT.com, that will take you onto his website, and you just need to, and it is a very full website. There is so much information on it, about studies and grief resources. There's a lot of information on it. Or people can contact me. Now, it's very important you get the Y in my name, not the E. KARYNJARV for Victor, IE, at Aussiemail, OZEMAIL.com.au. So I'm in Australia, so there will be a time difference, to me replying to people, but I will reply.
Right. Well, this show is global, so you might get people to contact you right there in Australia.
Yeah.
But Larry, something that I found today on Facebook that is very interesting. I don't have regular television, but Dr. Oz did a show today on signs from your loved ones from the other side. Dr. Oz at 4 o'clock our time. And I just saw someone posted it on Facebook, and they said it's coming on at 4 o'clock today, but I don't have regular television. I only have Netflix and Hulu Plus. I got to see if I can. And he spoke to a lot of parents that have children on the other side, and they spoke about the signs. I found that very fascinating. Because
one of the most hopeful things for us is that there are a lot of doctors now speaking out about experiences with NDEs, near-death experiences, either of their own or their patients. And so we're starting to get it out into the public agenda. We've got a long way to go, but still a lot of people think it's woo-woo and we're playing with the devil and all that sort of stuff. But people have to understand that religion has done a lot of damage in their minds, in keeping people in little cells.
Boxes.
Not allowing people to explore their spirituality.
But in truth, when I look at, I hear what you're saying, but in truth, when you look at things happening online, and that, like I said, my mom loved Dr. Oz. I've never watched his show. I'm not a television watcher, but my mom is crazy about Dr. Oz, and I know he's like another Oprah. He's really big. And for him to have this, that's as mainstream as you get. And that was his show today. So it's like,
and that's a big change from a few years ago.
Yes, so it's actually, we're in 2020. Things are actually speeding up exponentially. And people are awakening and understanding that the little boxes that organized religion had put us in was just, like you said, putting us in boxes. And people are opening up their mind, and many more people are not thinking this is woo-woo anymore. Yeah. And everything I believe in is based in science. It was quantum physics that woke me up, okay? And I talk in my presentation, I just talk about science. I talk about the scientific proof that we're all connected. We're all one, meaning our loved ones, we're still connected to our loved ones. And that's how we can communicate with them.
The evidence for the afterlife is so overpoweringly intense. It's been documented for well and truly 150 odd plus years. We've had it since man was first on the planet. We've always, but it's it's something that we need to teach people.
Yes. Yes.
We need to let people know.
It's time for an awakening, and 2020 is a new era. I truly believe this, what we're talking about now. I believe that in a short period of time, we will have technology to communicate with our loved ones on the other side. In a short period.
We do now.
We have technology.
Well, we do. We do.
And I mean, EVPs aren't just the only way. EVPs aren't just the only way. I mean, if you go back into some of the early ITC stuff, people's deceased relatives were appearing on TV in front of them. You had people like Marcello Bacchi, who used to tune an old valve radio, and he would get messages on an old valve radio, God bless him, and they would be messages for the women in the room of their sons that had been killed or died. So we have got an incredible history of proof of the afterlife.
Yes, much more proof that there's afterlife, much more proof that there's so much more that we cannot detect with our human senses. And that's science. Science has proven that with your 5 human senses, you can detect maybe 0.00035% of what is actually around you, because they have instruments that can detect it and our senses can't. So I say to anybody, if you tell me you only believe in what you can see or taste or smell, what you can detect with your 5 senses, then that means you are negating 99.99999% of what is actually around you. And this is science. So this isn't woo-woo stuff we're talking about. We're talking about hardcore science.
We are.
Yes.
We are, for sure. For sure.
And you know what? We're talking about EVP today, and I'm also working with ITC doing images now. And what all of this is showing me is, under the right conditions, if we tune it in, spirit is everywhere. We call it the afterlife, but it's really just the unseen life. It's not, it's after this, but it's happening right now. And I see these images coming up, and it's like, my God, all I did was run this vaporizer machine, this steam, and get some lights on there, and face comes up. And it's just bringing to light what's around. The consciousness is all around, and everything has thoughts, and we're learning to tune that in and hear it. And it's for many people, for myself, it just gives verification, which for me I need. Some people as mediums are contented to just go with the thought that comes in their head, and I'm learning to more now because I can verify it through the electronic sound. But for me, I just did not understand that this was spirit. I just thought it was my unconscious. And sometimes now I wonder, even with the sound source, with the EVP, could it not be my unconscious affecting that sound? Because again, we still can't see who we're talking to, but I'm talking to somebody, and it's not here. And it's telling me that the invisible is real, and we can bring it up and tune it in. And for some people who are grieving, it's a great asset and gift. As again, some people don't particularly like the electronic end of things. That's absolutely fine. We have so many ways of connecting with spirit.
True.
But it's a wonderful thing. And it started for me with the electronic voice.
Right.
And that's what Karyn and I are offering to help people. If they really want to try to explore it, we'll help them. We'll try to help them get started.
Yes. I love that. I love that. Also, like you were saying with the vapor, well, you guys know of Sonia Rinaldi.
I got all my methods from Sonia. I mean, I was actually using videotaping the image that appeared on my glasses, not glasses. I learned from Isabel Duchenne, who is a medium from Belgium, I believe, Karyn, and she was on one of Karyn and Wendy's meetings, and she said, "Oh, you can get trans images by photographing your own glasses." And I thought, well, that sounds easy, and that's where I got started. But then I started seeing what Sonia could do. And I'm always saying, Sonia, how'd you do that? How'd you do this? And I keep trying, and blah, 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 boom, things are picking up.
Yeah.
And it just says to me, the invisible world is right there. You can, because it's showing itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. In my last meeting, I was having a meeting with Sonia, and she had the vapor machine behind her, and she's recording before the meeting gets started.
Yeah.
And then she sends me, the next day, she sends me an image of Kyle that was in the vapor before the meeting got started. So he knew that I was going to be.
They know everything, those geniuses.
Our loved ones will do whatever they can to get through to it, and it must be a great source of frustration to them that our grief blocks a lot of their signs and signals. But they will do everything that they can to try and get through to us, to let us know that they are okay. And we actually have in our Zoom groups, we were talking about not just parents, but we have a Zoom group for people who want to have a continuing relationship with their partner who's passed away.
Yes.
That's a very, very popular group. So, we're trying to bring groups to people that people need, that they will get benefit from. And, of course, it's all free. There's no charge.
Beautiful. Yes,
yeah,
that's beautiful.
Great. The great stuff is I love these groups. Nice people in the network, really, too, also. And you don't get better than the Zamits, right, Karyn? The Zamits are, they are the real deal. They are dedicated to spirit. They work so hard, and they truly, they're very special people.
Well, the wonderful thing I love is that I'm meeting all you wonderful people that are just doing this from the heart, from your passion. The Zamits, Sonia, you, Sheri, you, Karyn. It's just all about
you,
helping. It's about helping everyone. For me, it's about waking up to who we truly are, what we are divine spirits. There is no life. Like you were saying, I actually don't like the term afterlife, because there is nothing but life. It's it's all there is life. We are divine sparks of God. We are divine light. That's who we are. That's the essence of us. Too many people identify with this flesh and blood, which is it's a spacesuit. It's like a car. I like to think of it as a vehicle. To get around in this dense 3D area that we're in right now, we need some kind of a vehicle. So this is our vehicle for getting around. But this is also spirit. Everything is spirit. I was taught in 7th grade by my science teacher in 7th grade, nothing is truly solid. You put anything under a high power microscope, what do you see? You see tiny moving particles that are not even touching, but there's movement. Meaning, even in this desk, in this computer, there's life. There's life in everything. Yeah. And that energy and everything is interconnected. And so when we understand the truth of who we truly are, let go of all the religious dogma, and I have nothing but the utmost respect for all religion, but don't let religion put you in a box.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yes. So it is truly, and we are truly living in a time where people are waking up. We're able to connect with our loved ones in spirit because we are raising our consciousness. See, and so now they're lowering their consciousness to meet us, but we're raising our consciousness. So that's why we're able to communicate. with our loved ones.
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly.
Yes. And it's so true what you were saying, Karyn, that when a parent, you're a parent that has a child in spirit, I'm a parent, and Sheri's a parent, we all have children in spirit. And it brings me joy. I know it brings you guys joy knowing they're not gone. Kyle says he's my co-host, so he's right here. Whenever
Yeah.
I'm recording a show, he's right here.
Yep. I believe that. I mean, I have a photograph that was taken by Sonia Rinaldi. We were in an experiment, and the experiment started to go a bit funny, and we were trying to do something with my back screen to see, what different colours may affect things, and for a while we were communicating quite easily, and then suddenly she started to speak like a chipmunk. Like a chipmunk, and I go, what's going on here? And I was laughing my head off. And she could see me laughing, but she couldn't hear me. And on impulse, she picked up a camera and she took a photo through her monitor, through my monitor of me. And between me, who's standing here working on this, and here, my desk, there was an entity.
Oh.
And when that entity came between the electronics, it all went screwy. When the entity moved, we went back to normal.
Wow.
So I have proof that they're right beside us.
Oh, yeah.
And that to me spurs me on. It's taken away the pain of all that money that I spent on so many people who were just feeding, what they thought I needed to hear. I spent thousands and thousands of dollars trying to find my daughter in the early days. I spent many, many days lying on her grave because I was told that that's where she was and she hadn't left that grave. This was one religious aspect. So, I've gone the whole gamut. I've lost everything in my search for my daughter, and I do not want another person to have to go through that. I do not want them to have to go through that because they don't need to. They don't need to.
Very good. Thank you. That is so great. Now, Sheri, sweetie, I'm calling you because I don't see you. I figured I want to just reiterate what we want people to know and how they're going to find you. I will make sure all of the links to your website. I will make sure Karyn's email is in the blog post for each show. I write up a blog post, so I will make sure and the Zammits and the Zoom groups, all of that is great information. Are you there? Because I'm not seeing you.
I'm here.
We're all here, darling.
Oh, okay. It's just your
Gang's all here.
Okay, you're not talking loud enough because you're not coming up.
Talking loud.
Oh, okay. Well, we're just not talking.
Oh, okay. All right. Now I see you. Now, I wasn't seeing you, but that's okay. I'm actually recording in a different view, speaker view today. So I'll see how this works and see if I'll do it again. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
But we always experiment. We don't experiment, we don't learn.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's why I said I wanted to try this. But Sheri, was there anything else you wanted to share?
I just wanted to invite parents, if there were any parents listening to your show, to join the prayer registry. The prayer registry is a free service for all bereaved parents. The prayer registry records and honors 1 day a year per family, and that is the passing date of the child. And the child's name is printed on the prayer registry calendars, which are public at my website. And every year on their passing date, their name is sent out to the other parents so that we all know who's due for prayer, and we can all send a prayer so that these children on an ongoing basis will receive mass prayer on their passing date. And it's just an ongoing thing that's there. It's kind of like a free floating life raft. I think it helps people very much, especially in the beginning, because you come to see that you're part of something so very much bigger than yourself. and that each one of those children listed on that calendar is loved by someone here, and that we're all there together supporting each other. And so it's just something anyone is welcome to join. And again, if they just go to sheriperl.com, which you're going to post, the very first link is the prayer registry, and you hit on it and it will give you all the information you need to register your child. So I just want to invite anyone to join us in that praying for the children.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, this, I say to parents, and not just parents, I say anyone that is missing a loved one, your loved one wants you to know that they're still right there with you, and they want you, because they want you to be joyful. They don't want you to be sad. They want you to know, and that's the thing, is knowing. And it's on an individual basis, because nobody can convince you. It's something, it's a knowing. And when you know that you know that you know that your loved one is still with you, you develop a new relationship with them.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, lady. Now, Karyn, was there something else I want you to share your last thoughts with our listeners?
No, I would just encourage people to take up the opportunity. We're here. We want to work for you. We're happy to work for you. We're here for you. So you'll put all the links. I've put the links in our chat room there for you, so that you can put them down in so people can see them. So yeah, get in touch with us. We're not monsters.
Thank you. And I just love you ladies so much. So much. I love the way you're just giving of yourself to help others where they don't have to grieve so much. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun being in that hell.
Yes.
That is hell. That is the biblical hell.
Yes, true. Yes, I don't believe in the afterlife hell, because it's nothing but eternal life. But we have the ability to create heaven or hell right here. And if we do it, we create it ourselves. Yep. Very true. Very true. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you, Karyn. Thank you, Sheri.
Bye, guys.
Much. You know what? I think I'm going to put this in gallery view now, so we can see. Now
you can see us.
I'm so used to gallery
view. Time.
Yes. See, with gallery view, I know I didn't lose anybody. But thank you, ladies.
Oh, you're welcome. It was fun.
Thank you so much, and give my love to Jerry.
I sure will. I'm going to go join him now. I missed. Well, I'll go have a little nibble of a little late dinner.
Oh, actually, I don't know if you guys can hear, but my voice, I have a sore throat. I am going to have chicken noodle soup right now.
Go for it. That's the Jewish penicillin, darling.
Yes. But love you guys. Thank you so much. We're going to be in touch. We'll be in touch real soon. Love you guys.
Bye-bye.